The Last of Us Season 2 was well received as a season of television, but it was disappointing as an adaptation of the video game. With The Last of Us Season 3 on the way to adapt the other half of the game, following the same 3 days in Seattle from Abby's perspective, there are a few mistakes it needs to avoid repeating. Somehow, The Last of Us managed to pull a Game of Thrones in just its second season. Critics and show-only viewers seem to still be enjoying it, but as a fan of the source material who's used to a much better version of the story, I was very underwhelmed. Neil Druckmann and Hallie Gross, the original writers of the game, conspicuously left the writing staff of the TV series soon after the fan backlash to Season 2. They both made diplomatic public statements about leaving the show to give more time and attention to other projects, but Druckmann specifically threw shade at Season 2 in a recent interview. Druckmann said, "My hope for Season 3 is to make sure it's as deeply faithful as Season 1 was, because I feel like that is the gold standard for this kind of adaptation." He's acknowledging that Season 1 nailed it, which it did, but Season 2 was a step down, which it was. But how can Season 3 avoid Season 2's mistakes and recapture Season 1's greatness? The Last of Us Season 3 needs to be more faithful to the game. Making The Last of Us Season 3 better than Season 2 is a lot easier said than done. Craig Mazin has to actually figure out a way to turn this crazy, ambitious, groundbreaking video game into a TV show, and now, he has to do it alone. For starters, I think he should follow Druckmann's advice, stay faithful to the source material. Since he no longer has Druckmann or Gross there keeping him in check, Mazin needs to remember that this isn't really his story, he's retelling someone else's story, and he needs to stay true to that. He can make the TV show his own, of course, but it's an adaptation above all. He can deviate from the source material like Season 1 did, but he shouldn't actively betray its themes and intentions like Season 2 did. Mazin can expand on interesting concepts that the game didn't have time to explore, like Isaac's mentorship of Abby and the rift in Owen and Mel's relationship, but he shouldn't go against what makes those dynamics compelling. Ellie being excited about becoming a dad completely deflates the tension. If she's not worried about the baby or angry about the secret, then it flattens one of the game's best twists. The same thing will happen in Season 3 if Owen is excited about raising a kid with Mel, and is not constantly taking off-site assignments to get away from her. Season 1's Bill and Frank episode is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen, and a perfect example of what this show can do that the games couldn't. Mazin can use that freedom to tell the origin story of the Seraphite prophet, or adapt the saga of Boris Legasov, or go back and show how Lev and Yora became disillusioned with the bureaucracy of the Seraphites and eventually decided to run away. But make sure it still fits with the story you're telling, don't put in any expansions that undermine the things you're expanding on. In theory, the town council meeting where Jackson's residents vote on whether to send a revenge party after Joel's killers is a neat idea for a scene to give us a deeper insight into Jackson's democratic process and get a wider range of perspectives. But in execution, it just became an excuse for Mazin to vocalize all the themes of the story before the story even got going. The Last of Us Season 3 can't dumb down Abby's character like Season 2 did with Ellie. One of the most egregious things that The Last of Us Season 2 did was dumb down Ellie's character. In the game, she's blinded by vengeful rage, but she's still a tactical genius. In the TV show, she sets off on a cross-country journey without medical supplies, she throws a tantrum when she doesn't get her way, and she survives by sheer luck. Mazin wrote 19-year-old Ellie to be just as immature and impulsive as 14-year-old Ellie. He can't do the same to Abby. Abby is smart, resourceful, and has incredible courage under fire. The Last of Us Season 3 needs to capture that instead of showing Abby to be reckless, dim-witted, and lucky. The Last of Us Season 3 shouldn't tone down the brutality of the game. In The Last of Us Part 2, Ellie and Abby kill dozens of people on their respective quests. But in Season 2, Ellie only killed one person on purpose, and made sure to clarify that the others were accidents. Season 3 shouldn't tone down the brutality of the game, it should lean into it, because that violence and moral ambiguity are what make this world so compelling. The Last of Us Season 3 needs more subtext and subtlety. From a writing standpoint, The Last of Us Season 3 needs to let subtext be a thing. Don't just have every character tell the audience exactly how they're feeling at any given moment. Trust the viewers to pick up on subtle cues in the actor's body language or in the disingenuous things they say. Leave some room for nuance. In Season 2, Ellie and Jesse are always angry at each other. It's not believable that they're actually friends, they seem to despise each other. You need to allow for a more well-rounded dynamic. Throughout Abby's section of the game, Mel is disturbed by Abby's actions and quickly growing resentful of her closeness with Owen, but that doesn't mean they're at each other's throats in every single scene. There's still room for them to joke around with each other and confide in each other, despite this undercurrent of growing resentment.